Hey guys, it's Markion Stitch again with Active Duty Passive Income. Today we have an exclusively awesome video with a man named Nathan Brooks. He's been all over the place in terms of like bigger pockets and stuff, and he has an awesome company called Bridge. And I really want him to kind of like let you guys know what it's all about, let you so you guys understand why we're working with him so closely and why we love working with him. And so Nathan, without further ado, just kind of give you a little bit of a background on your story.
Yeah, well, first, thank you again for this time together, and it's just much a pleasure to have this with you, and hopefully we bring value. Uh,
For
so
sure.
I've been investing in real estate for more than 10 years, and I've been through the ups and the downs, and been through the good, bad, and ugly. I've certainly been through that. My wife and I had bought numerous houses in 2009 and 10, and went through bankruptcy, and we've been through some pretty awful things. And so we made decisions to say, hey, we're going to make better decisions. We're going to be better investors. We're going to be more well informed. And then we're in the turnkey business now, so we're going to make sure that the things that caught us, whether it was the way we rehabbed or the processes that we followed and things like that, were vitally important, not just for us to be able to sell a house. It's not that hard to just sell a house, but it's really important to sell a great house and to do the things that are necessary, not just make it look pretty. And so, the last few years, we have a company called Bridge Turnkey Investments, and so we have turnkey houses, and we'll flip like 150, 160 houses this year.
Wow.
And so, but you don't do that overnight, and you have to scale and have problems. And I've told you guys, you and Eric, and many of the clients we've gotten to serve through ADPI, that we're not perfect. We blow it. I wish I was perfect. I wish I bat 1,000 all the time, and we don't. But we're not known for screwing up. We're known for being transparent and doing the right thing, and so that's kind of that's our story at Bridge. And so this year we're excited to continue growing and bringing value.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a very good point. I talk to some of our guys a lot, and there's delays or something happens within the appraisal or something. It just, you name it, anything can happen. And I tell them, real estate is a bumpy road, and please don't judge the process.
Yeah,
Don't judge the product by the process.
sure.
So I think our multifamily that me and my family got, I think it was our fifth property that we were either on an LOI or under contract for, and we spent a year and a half till we finally got one. It's just, sometimes it's just really a bumpy road, but
It
you
is.
know,
Well, and I think the other thing about that is, for somebody like our business, where we might, we might buy and sell 10 houses in a week, so it's not that big of a deal. Like, okay, it's some inspection issues or appraisal issue or whatever. Okay, what's the problem? Let's solve it. But it's another thing, when it might be your first house, or it's a couple, or you're, 5,000 miles away or whatever it is. So it feels very, it magnifies the problem. And
yeah, exactly. Well, that's a good point, because a lot of our guys are 5,000 miles away, right? Like,
right.
so,
Yes, exactly.
I mean, like, I do understand that as a turnkey provider, most people you work with don't live in your city, but
Yep.
with
True.
us, it's extremely true, because we have people like in Okinawa or like wherever in the world, right? And
Sure.
so we really try to, foster that relationship with them of trust, that us as a club, ADPI as an education platform, that we work with people like you guys, and that as a team we will help work them through all those issues with you guys, and it's just make it happen.
Yep.
Because there's no guarantees in real estate. It is a risky business, but at least we'll have their back, and we'll try to, it's kind of like the school of hard knocks. I've learned a lot from my mistakes. The guys in my team have learned a lot from our mistakes, and we're trying to make sure you guys don't learn from the school of hard knocks. We want to make sure that everybody going through us and with, the people we work with, like yourself, that we can eliminate as much of the risk as possible.
Yeah, and you use risky business, and I do think that there is some level of risk, obviously, with anything.
Right.
Uh, and unlike some other assets like stocks, it is obviously an asset that takes longer to sell. But I will say that I think that over the last several years, particularly, I can't speak for anybody else selling turnkey houses, but for us, you know, the part of the way that we operate, so we share the scope of work with the client, and
Huge, by the
yeah
way. Yeah.
and then we give you an inspection report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. Like we had one today, it was real ugly, and we flip houses every day, and we still screw up, and it drives me absolutely insane. But what we did, we still went through every single one of those items on the list, and we told them exactly what we're going to do to fix it, and then we provide pictures for them, and then we offer a 12-month warranty on our scope. So, and this isn't meant to be a sales pitch, but for me, our job as a turnkey provider is to mitigate that risk as much as possible. And
Hmm.
you're never going to be able to mitigate it all the way, but and as you're investing and thinking about what you're actually doing, to me, it's important to say, well, what did they do in the rehab? So what does it look like? Understand it doesn't have to be in the best neighborhood ever, but we want to make sure it's not in a war zone. We want to make sure it's going to cash flow and it's a good investment. And then people, you know, there is a trust factor in this, and they are 5,000 miles or 2,000 miles away or whatever it is. And so to have that comfort of knowing there's a consistent product that's being done in the way that we renovate properties is done consistently in that way. So it's important for me, for people to know that.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's kind of dovetail from that point is like, so about turnkey, why, so I have a very strong opinion of why I think it's a great way for military to invest. Um, Mostly stemming from the fact that we are extremely busy and we don't have a structured time to our lives a lot of time, whether it's deployments or sometimes, like for example, tomorrow I'm going to be flying at night, probably, like I don't know, and it can change at the drop of a hat, like because we don't have that time often. um, I think that a turnkey property from somebody you can trust is a great way to get your foot in the door and ease your education in to where maybe when you're out of the military later, or while you're still in the military and you're starting the transition process, or you have other team members in your family or friends that can really kind of like build that team and build that education further. But it's just a great stepping stone for military. Because I mean, obviously there's a lot of money to be had if you get like, a burr property and you do it all on your own. Of course, you can make a killing off of a refinance or something, but that not everybody in the military can do that, especially if we're in California or in Japan or whatever. It's not going to
Sure.
happen.
And I think it's important to note, like, and especially, we see the transition of the market, and not to say like, I'm sure you've bought houses like that. I know Eric had bought houses, like that. And I've gotten, money out of refinances, but I think it's also important to say flipping is not for everyone,
Right.
and so you might have all the time in the world, but it's a really dumb idea if you aren't going to do the 100% effort to actually have the result. So you might want to be out, doing whatever it is that you love doing in your work or otherwise. And so that's, for me, it's more about knowing that we can produce a result that is better than what someone else would just go out in their first few times of trying to flip a house. We have systems in place. We know what the scopes are. We have a design team. We have a scope on the window of every single house, and they know down to the color and the tile and the grout and the whatever of what that house is going to look like. And so, and I don't want to discourage people from going out and doing that. I think it's wonderful, but I also think that people need to have a realistic expectation that you're not going to just go out and slay it, and not have problems that you're going to have to solve just like everybody else has had to have in it.
Of course. Perfect. I mean, that's exactly what I'm getting at, is like, we need to be careful to make sure, and this is
Mm.
something that this is very important for me right now. And it's not something I take lightly, is I need to make sure that my number one priority in terms of my work life is my military career. I'm not,
Yeah.
that's not going secondary to anything. And
Sure.
so, and a lot of times, if you want to be successful, actually not a lot of times, if you want to be successful in what you're doing, like I think you would agree, you have to be, that is your primary thing. You don't have some other work job that's taking more than that, right?
Yep. I tell my team all the time, I'm like, wherever the focus is the result.
Yep, exactly. And
Wherever the
so,
focus is the result.
yeah, and that's where the team comes into play. And essentially, they can look at you as a team member. Like whatever the turnkey provider that they use, that our guys use, that they trust, that is a part of their team, because it's just how it works. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that to everybody. I wanted to, so that if any military member in our group or that just finds us for the first time, they see this video, that they can be like, okay, that it makes sense now. That they put that in, they get that into perspective, because I love Bigger Pockets, but Bigger Pockets is also not for everybody. And Bigger Pockets is so big, and it's kind of like a Wikipedia. It's my favorite place in the world to get answers for anything. But for somebody who, like in the military, a lot of times we're taught, hey, just put your money away in a Roth IRA or TSB. You're not smart enough. You don't have the time. You can't figure it out. They need a place where it's just like, hey, this is for you, man. You come in here, we'll take you from zero to close, literally, if you want. Like Eric will walk you through the steps. You'll have the video guided course that's geared towards the way you already think, because we are all in the military. We know how you were brought up, essentially, in a financial mindset 95% of the time. And that's why, we created this, because we're like, it is very needed. And then you see, as soon as the education happens, you have people like, I'm just going to throw one out there. The first guy that went with you guys was Spencer Morris. I mean, he just jumped on one property to another. Like, once they're educated in the military, like we're action takers. We're just geared towards like, hey, I know what I need to do. I'm going to execute now. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's what's so exciting.
We don't take it lightly either. And I think, and I know there's a number of wonderful turnkey companies out there. And for us, we really truly think about it as we are your partner. And, we don't expect you to have to be here. We want you to know that we're going to be transparent through that kind of process and explain what it is. And, and I think when people are studying that too, it's important to have that trust, whoever you're using, because you're not going to be there. You're not going to be swinging a hammer. You're not, you want to know kind of what the MO is of that company, so that you have a good feeling of, what you're going to get, and you'll be happy with the result.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, enough said. I just, that's the thing, is like, I just wanted the members of the military, again, when they watch this video, is for us to connect on that point, for them to understand why we work with people like you do, because we think it's a match made in heaven, honestly. So yeah. Now kind of transitioning into like how we work together. I wanted to just kind of pick your brain on like, what do you think about the process so far? What do you think, like, what is your word of advice of a military person stumbling across our website, plugging into our club? Like where do you think, a newbie guy should start off with, and how do you think they should look at the investments with you on passive income, and just like that whole synergy that we're trying to create?
Yep. So there's a couple of questions there. So there's a learning.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm like, I when I think, I blast away other thoughts when I'm talking.
That's why I always have a notepad with me.
Yeah.
So first, on the learning, I think there's a number of things. So I think, your education course really geared towards people who are already in the military, and that the thinking, I think that makes total sense. And I also like the reading parts, whether it's, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Huge.
Great book. There's
check it out. Got it right here. Got it ready.
I'm trying to say I got all these books over here, but shout out to Jocko. I keep trying to get, he should be on. I keep telling him he needs to have me on his podcast to talk.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
I love this book from a business standpoint, but I also think that there's a what the heck is it called? The Millionaire Real Estate Investor.
Yeah.
Is a great book. And then there's another one that I read, and I've read a number of times, called The Unofficial Guide to Real Estate Investing. It's a little more technical.
I heard about that one. I have not read it yet, but yeah, I've heard about that one.
It's great. And then Keller Williams guys also have one called Hold, which is a good book too. I also have that one.
Yeah, we're working on a resource page where we're going to be like, hey, start here, read this, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think that, the conundrum is when you're far away and it's new. So I'm learning to fly. So I've had
Nice.
I've had 2 flight lessons. Yeah. It's
Nice.
been a dream of mine since I was a little boy. So, the first time you're flying this airplane and that everything is a problem because you have no idea what you're doing. Right. And so, uh, I went up for my second flight lesson last week, and I love it. By the way, it's awesome, and
That's awesome.
it's awesome. And so, but getting the bank correctly at the correct angle with the airplane and keeping the heading correct, or whatever in the language is to
Yeah.
So
Attitude.
attitude. There we go. So all these things, I can watch a plane fly and I'm like, hey, that looks cool. And looks, it's the engine's running and these
Yeah.
things. So it's the same kind of problem in real estate where, what the end result is that you want it to look like. Well, hey, I want to have, X dollars in passive income, or I want to have, X number of doors, or I want my wife or husband to be home from working or whatever, or I get out of the military and I have all this money and I made extra money when I was deployed, and so what do I do with it? And not go
Right.
blow it on some fancy car and
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
So it's important on the learning side to understand what you want first. So like, why are you actually investing that? And then what is my expectation that I'm going to put, what we just said earlier, activity and result. What's the result I'm actually getting out of this thing that I'm putting my money into? And it's no small amount. So even if it's an $80,000 or $100,000 house, it's still, lots of money. So, and then from the ADPI standpoint, I think it's one of those things where when I first ran across your page, I was excited because I know for me, I was not in the military, but I had a lot of family members who were, and it is something that is a great passion of mine to say, hey, you are out there serving our country, and you're out there serving both individually and on teams, and whatever you're doing, whether you're on the front lines of an actual battlefield or you're a gajillion other jobs that are
Hmm.
doing various things. How can we help serve you? And hopefully that doesn't sound cheesy or whatever, but it's
No,
true.
no. Yeah, I got you.
And so when I ran across the page for the first time, I was like, man, this is cool. And I remember entering in, I'm like, I'm not a military guy, but man, I would love to help in any way possible for people to understand what they're getting into. And also be a voice for somebody that like, hey, I'm tooting my own horn that, hey, we sell houses, but I also can say, listen, this is what we're doing to mitigate your risk. So we're giving you all the information up front. We're transparent with you, and we're giving a warranty on the work. And we approach it from a holistic standpoint. And so for you guys, it's like you need to have those partners that have really clear and transparent process and details for what they're selling. So you as a new investor really can at least say, here's the basics of this thing. Again, back to the airplane. I don't need to know how the whole thing runs right now, but I
Hmm.
just need to understand that I have a flight instructor who can help me learn,
Right,
and
right.
I'm going to be safe, and I'm going to have a good experience, and I get to go fly again.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
was that a good
Awesome.
analogy? Do you like the flight
Yeah,
analogy?
yeah. You know what? It's funny because that's not the first flight analogy to just business and real estate I've heard at all. I don't know if you have heard of Pat Flynn. He's one of I consider him like the online business guy. Like he's full of integrity. He's the most just down to earth guy. He lives here in San Diego. And he has a website and a podcast called SPI, Active Duty Passive Income, or sorry, Smart Passive Income. So I wonder if you know where I kind of got the idea for my
Okay,
name.
sure,
and
nice.
yeah, Pat Flynn is amazing, and he wrote a book called Will It Fly, and it's how you test business ideas.
Okay.
uh, and the whole book is an analogy on flying, and it's
Oh,
amazing.
cool.
It's awesome. It's really cool, and he's a master at what he does, and he's the most humble person ever. So anyways, sorry, didn't even think I was going to mention his name in this podcast, or sorry, this
It's
video that we're doing, but
Yeah,
there you
it's
go.
all good. I now have another great book. I'm a huge book reader, and I try to do 2 books a month right now. So, it's always good to have another book to read.
Oh yeah, Will It Fly is great. I mean, I don't care what your business is; it's going to help you out. At least researching your niche and knowing how to capitalize in it. That's really what it's all about. Is like anyway. So, and from that passive income, kind of dovetailing to the next point is like so. As in the name, active duty passive income is so we're that's kind of our focus. Is like you said, flipping isn't for everybody. We're trying to generate like passive income, and a lot of people are worried about X, Y, and Z with real estate, like the next crash or this or the other. And we're trying to teach them all the elements of why, if you buy in the right place, if you buy smart and you do your research and you have a strategy, you can develop enough passive income and you can snowball that. Just like compound interest, you can compound invest in real estate and eventually get to enough passive income to where you can retire. Or you can at least have enough freedom to do whatever else you want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of curious, like just this last question, like where are you getting your confidence? Like what is the thing that's giving you confidence about real estate and passive income? Like how does that, where did you find this? Like why is that what you're going after? Why is that what got you into real estate?
Well, I think it's one of those things when you look at what can I control. And so, I can go buy a stock, but I don't control the company.
Yeah.
I can go, invest in Bitcoin or whatever. And I've bought a little crypto here and there, but, again, it's super volatile. It's hard to understand, who knows what's going on with it, or regulation.
Mm-hmm.
Assets like a real estate, real estate is a very interesting thing because you can buy it. It's tangible, which I like. I can know, hey, the siding of this thing's good. The windows are new. I can see the roof, so I know what is actually going on with it. Unlike some P&L and some, Fortune 500 company where who knows what's buried where on what sheet.
Yeah.
Real clear. This is how much it costs. This is how much the rent is. This is what we're putting away for maintenance and CapEx or whatever. And then there's a couple of really cool things for real estate, which is you can buy a house, you can have somebody rent it, and you can have somebody else pay off your house. So
wealth.
what a crazy idea. So you buy $100,000 house and you do it 10 times over 10 years or 20 years or whatever it is. I bet most of these folks are, 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, maybe 50s. And that's fine. Don't think, my dad is one of my clients, he's a retiree and he's buying houses. So, but, when you're starting younger, now you have this truncated timetable where, if you're buying in you're 25 or 30 and you do that consecutively, even if it's only 5 houses or 3 houses, $100,000 each, you're throwing that, like you said, the snowball, the money back into the deal. You have depreciation, so you can take it against your taxes and you have savings there. And, we're not even talking about appreciation, which, we don't want to make huge assumptions on that.
Right.
We don't
Yeah.
live in San Diego where it goes up like $100,000 a day or whatever you guys have out there.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, you get to have somebody else pay for that.
Huge.
And it's huge and it's scalable and it makes sense and you can understand it. And so that's why I love real estate.
Yeah. It's something you can feel, right? And and I think a lot of military folks can resonate with that because what we do oftentimes is we're either ground pounders or we got like our hands on the sticks in an aircraft or something like that. And we need to like feel it. I need to see it personally. I couldn't understand how the engine worked until I actually saw it and I saw the tubes coming in and out, and all that kind of stuff. So I totally agree. So I'm just going to wrap it up and say, hey guys, if you're watching this video, the whole point behind our course, the whole point of us having fostering relationships with amazing people like Nathan here is to get you from zero to basically closing on your first rental property and then spiraling that out of control to where you can actually, make enough passive income to achieve financial freedom. And even if you're later in the game, like Nathan said, or maybe you can jump, maybe you're already a seasoned investor. We're trying to provide a club where we have access to people like our turnkey providers with relationships that have already existed. So they know who we are and we're just there to help each other out. And, that's what's awesome is we're a team and we're getting there together. And so just like we were talking about teams, we're an automatic team. ADPI is a team and we have, and we're going places. We have all sorts of cool ideas in the future. And people like Nathan make it happen. So
We
thanks.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Nathan. Yeah.
Thank you. And as people have questions too, have them shoot the questions, in the comments or whatever. And we can always do another one and hit some specific things that people have questions on. So.
Yeah, sure. But maybe this is the first of many, many videos. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Take care, Nathan. Thanks so much.
Hey, you do the same, Marky. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.